This is the Washington Times front page for Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. There were some blunt words, but no finger-wagging as President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin talked face-to-face virtually about avoiding a war over Ukraine. Dave Sands and Jeff Murdoch report U.S. officials said Biden told Putin that the U.S. and the West would respond far more harshly this time to a military incursion into Ukraine than they did when Putin effectively seized Crimea from Ukraine 7 years ago. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told reporters after the call that the president told Putin that if Russia further invades Ukraine, the United States and our European allies would respond with strong economic measures. Russian government officials said Putin again blamed Ukraine and NATO for escalating tensions in the region. A team at Duke University is among more than a dozen across the country examining ways to neutralize the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Dr. David Montefiore and his team are growing a pseudovirus batch of the Omicron strain that is harmless to humans, but can be tested against blood samples from people vaccinated against COVID-19. Tom Howe reports their experiments, which focus on the Moderna vaccine, will help the drug maker and U.S. officials learn whether the shots can fend off the variant first detected in South Africa. They should reach a verdict by next week. After that, the drug maker and public officials must decide whether they are satisfied with the vaccine or need a plan B, such as a variant-specific booster. President Biden's Supreme Court Commission has decided against recommending any significant changes to the way the court and its justices operate. While suggesting that term limits deserve a closer look, Stephen Dinan reports the panel said there was profound disagreement over a progressive proposal to expand the court. The commission studied ideas for limiting the high court's reach, such as imposing a supermajority requirement to overturn a congressional statute or giving Congress a path to override judicial decisions, among other reforms. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. If you don't have access to the Times yet, you can visit WashingtonTimes.com/George for a special subscription offer. The president of the National Fraternal Order of Police says the uptick in shootings and attacks targeting police this year is linked to growing hostility toward law enforcement. Emily Zanto reports FOP President Patrick Yose says that a recent erosion of respect has fueled more aggression toward cops. Critics reject that argument, saying instead the numbers correspond to an overall increase in shootings nationwide and record gun sales. A recent report published by the group found that 314 officers had been shot in the line of duty through November. That's the most in the last 3 years. And finally, speaking of police, by a 59-31 margin, voters said a COVID-19 vaccine mandate on police would leave departments struggling for trained officers. Stephen Dinan reports those numbers come from a poll conducted by On Message for the Washington Times. More than 4,000 registered voters were polled from November 19th to December 3rd. Some 80% of respondents see rising inflation and supply chain issues as a crisis, and about 70% of voters say the situation in the southern border is also in crisis. President Biden was underwater in his job approval, with 47% approval and 50% disapproval. That 3-point net unfavorable rating is better for the president than other recent national surveys, which show larger disapproval gaps. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms just by searching Washington Times in your favorite podcast app. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.